Welcome to Mommy Hour. Mommy Hour is a podcast. It's also a YouTube channel now. The purpose of Mommy Hour is to share stories. So I want to talk to everybody. I want to talk to moms. I want to talk to dads. I want to talk to everybody. Everybody who has some kind of impact on the journey of a mother. It's important for me to share those stories. So today we will be talking to Delise. Delise is the person that is single-handedly responsible for me becoming a homeschooling mom. I think that she's awesome, and I know that you will think so too. She's been through it, she's experienced it, and she has a lot to share. Hi, Delise.
I'm trying to see what this looks like.
So you are the creator, founder of Surviving Homeschool. So I wanted to bring you on to just to talk to you and get some pointers, because everybody is going crazy because instantly everybody is a homeschooling family. You have been homeschooling for how many years?
It's been almost a decade now. We started in 2011. So yeah, almost a decade.
Okay, so you have a couple of tips under your belt. Some people know and some people do not know, but you are the person that I spoke with back in December of 2017, when we were faced with the choice to decide if we were going to homeschool or not. So this is kind of a norm for you, but not, because we don't have the comfort that we usually have as homeschoolers. So how has the given recent circumstances changed your homeschooling lifestyle?
Oh, wow. Well, first, yes, I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited for what you're doing with your Mommy Hour. And, I'm so proud of you because you talk to folks and you're not sure how it's going to work out, and you just blossomed into homeschooler extraordinaire. And so I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Of course, sis. I think that it's been real interesting because, as you mentioned, homeschooling pre-COVID-19, we were using the whole community as our school. So, we were utilizing the museums and the programs that were out at the different nonprofit organizations. We were going to, the Capitol, when it was time to study U.S. history, and so now having to be in the house is also, very different for us as homeschoolers. So we're actually utilizing a lot of the resources that we share on Surviving Homeschool. So we're doing the, science as a virtual tour for at the Cincinnati Zoo. We're doing virtual ballet classes, and checking out the Alvin Ailey performances. We're watching the Broadway plays, and so we're utilizing a lot of those resources as well now that we're inside. And so it's been an interesting dilemma, even for the homeschool community.
Yeah. I try and tell people, because everybody's like, well, we're all homeschooling now. I'm like, no, this is different.
No,
this is completely different. This and I really do have to remind people that this is a pandemic.
Yes.
It's a pandemic.
Yeah.
So even with that bit of information, we are all homeschooling differently at this time, because we're also dealing with a world crisis at this time. So it's completely different. Like I said before, you also created a platform for so many people. It's now over 5,000 members in 4 weeks.
Right.
Anniversary. It's on Facebook. You also have an Instagram page, a Twitter, a YouTube. So I thought that you should have done this years ago. But you cannot argue with God's timing. So what made you start the platform now?
So interestingly enough, Surviving Homeschool started really as a love gift to my friends. I was, I just returned from a trip, and they were talking about this, starting this quarantine, and schools were starting to close. And, I was like, well, let me start to give folks some suggestions of things that worked, that may help them that work in the homeschool community. Let me get some homeschoolers together. And so I started to brainstorm the idea. I called a friend, her name is Derica. And I was like, I need somebody I can brainstorm this idea with. And she and I started brainstorming, what was possible, even including the name Surviving Homeschool, which she came up with. And we started to, we moved it on to create a Facebook group called, we call it @The Surviving Homeschool. And, there people are able to get survival tips. So we talk about how to avoid cabin fever. We talk about creating a schedule. We talk about how to deal with loss, coping, so all sort of the gamut around, as you mentioned, we're in a pandemic. But we also have cataloged those thousands of resources that people are seeing floating all around, the internet. We've got them all cataloged by topic, or we've got a majority cataloged by topic, on the site. And then, the great thing is it's also a community. So we offer encouragement, a lot of humor, we share tears, we share frustrations. And so it's really become a community of folks so that, even though we're socially distanced, we don't have to be disconnected during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So your family, you guys have been homeschooling all of their lives. Like,
yeah, literally.
Yeah, they haven't been in a traditional school, or a mainstream school is what we call it. So what differences have you noticed with your little ones during this time? What are their ages?
So my children, I have 3 children. They are 12, 9, and 7, all with different interests. And my youngest has a total different learning style. And so it's been interesting even for her. She, my 2 older have a more learning style like me. They can learn out of a book. My youngest, she's my kinesthetic learner. And so this has been an interesting thing for her because she's used to being out and seeing and touching and feeling and jumping and playing in her educational environment. And so it's been really interesting trying to kind of adapt her curriculum and her needs, in the situation. But what I found and what I love about what this has done, at least in our family, is I've just seen how creative she can be, in trying to find ways to, to adapt these things herself. I found, with my other 2, they're super independent. I tend to err on the side of type A. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of folks do who are homeschooling. We just want control. Let me do it. And so, having to, kind of in the midst of surviving homeschool and in this pandemic, they've had to take on a lot more responsibility with their education. I haven't been able to, hover as much as I would or schedule for them. And so they're really utilizing the skills that I've hoped I've instilled in them, organizing themselves, creating their own schedules, making lists of things that they can do so that they don't get bored. We call it to do before you're done list. And so I've watched them utilize a lot of the resources and tips and things that we've talked about over the years. And so it's been really fun, enlightening. But, I also feel like, I have the same kind of concerns and worries that, moms, all the other moms have, right? We're all kind of green to this. Am I doing it right? Am I spending enough time? And so, I really have had to also utilize that skill of managing expectations, that we are all, that it's a new thing for all of us, and so it requires all of us to have, be more gracious with ourselves, requires us to just really, give our kids agency, not try to take on all this stuff ourselves, pass on some things to them, seek help from others. And so we've had to utilize that in our home to get through this as well.
Yeah. We talked about this before, and you mentioned when we spoke last week about how you've basically kind of nurtured your children to be individuals, to be self-sufficient. I'm sure there are a lot of parents that could benefit from any tips that you may have about making our children more self-sufficient during this time. Because, in the reality, you have so many people that are working full-time and trying to maybe breastfeed, maybe.
Yes.
We have so many different scenarios that are happening. Obviously, you can't make a breastfeeding baby self-sufficient, but what tips and advice do you have for parents who just need to instill a little more independence during this time?
Yeah, I think that, one of the things that's worked well for me is to create for our family is to create a real flexible, a schedule, but flexible, right? A schedule that can be fluid. So and that includes what mommy needs to do, right? So if mommy needs to nurse or mommy needs to get on a conference call, then what do you have child A or child A through C doing during that time? And it can be, times where, mommy's doing that and child A, maybe it's quiet time. Maybe they're reading, during that time. Maybe they're doing some independent math work or some fun apps or even a board game, whatever it is. I think, it's important to set out like what you need to get done and then give them something to do. The other thing, is that has worked well for us is that I mentioned earlier, that to do before you're done list, that when and I think, you know, a lot of us give our kids that look, you know, we have these mommy looks, right? And that thing that says, are you sure you want to, you know, you want to ask me that question? Because kids will come start talking about their board, right? And so we create this, here's your list of things that you can do before you come tell mommy you're bored. Because when you come tell mommy you're bored, I'll say, do you really want what mommy has for you? I've got some really fun math facts. Right. And so,
right.
And so, you know, when you have them create this list of things that they do before they would come to you. So my kids, it might include, I'll play with my snap circuits. I'll check on my art supplies. You know, I'll do an art project. I'll color in my coloring book. I'll build something on Fortnite. Whatever it is, it's something that they can do before they come to you. So that way you can get those things that you need to get done for yourself or while working, you know, as well. And so those are a couple of things that have worked for us.
And I think that it's just so important for us to make sure that we are staying in tune with ourselves during this time. So what are you doing for yourself while you're managing your household? You have 3 little ones. You also have a husband. What are you doing?
Yeah, you know, oh my goodness. I think that we have to remember ourselves. You know, when one of my really good friends, Leslie, who is an anchor on WUSA here locally, she calls it resilient self-care. Almost like you don't even, like it's almost like it's the top priority, you know? And so, you know, I think that we have to, like we talk about that schedule, we have to make that our number one priority, because we can't, you know, when they talk about the face mask, you can't help someone else if you don't have your face mask on. So for me personally, I have book clubs. So we're still keeping our book clubs on, you know, doing them virtually. I have 2 book clubs that I'm a part of. And so for me, I get renewal amongst friends. I volunteer a lot for Stanford, my alma mater, and we had a virtual party last night with the alums, and it was DJ'd by alums. So I just find ways to connect with friends during this time. I do what others do. You know, I'll scroll social media, or I'll, you know, watch a favorite television show. I'm also exercising. We go for, and I think that's a really nice time. If there is another caregiver or a partner in the home, it's a nice bonding time. You know, leave the kids at home if they're of age,
right.
you know, and take that time, you know, to do some, maybe just a walk. You know, but I know folks meditate. You know, we definitely rely on our faith a lot for, you know, to kind of, you know, when I start my day through prayer. I think that it's, you know, we have to just utilize some of those positive coping skills, you know, and it also means just dancing, maybe having a beverage, you know.
Or 2.
Yeah, or 2, right? Having a beverage or 2, you know. And then the other thing is, I think that we should be unapologetic when we need a mommy time out, right? So I will say quickly, mommy needs a moment. You know, and I will you can take that at noon, you can take it at 10 in the morning, you can take it at 4 in the afternoon, you know, but making sure that, you know, also without guilt, just saying, you know, if you need a moment, and that moment can be 15 minutes, it can be half an hour, you know, take those moments.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I have gotten to the point where I'm using different language.
Yes.
What you're doing is frustrating, mommy. So I need you to give me a moment.
Yeah.
And I connect that to those moments when they feel frustrated. Well, you remember when you did that and mommy was really frustrating you? That's what you're doing to me. So let's just give each other a break.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's so important for us to be as transparent as we can during this time, so that they will understand, so that they don't take it personal, so that they also realize that we're all human. We all need breaks, and this is a difficult time for all of us.
Yes.
So that's just been my way of keeping everybody sane around here. It's just admitting that, as I keep saying, this is a pandemic. This isn't a vacation. Isn't, and I have to admit, even with me in the beginning, I was saying stuff like, you know, I can't wait to be home with my baby daddy. I jokingly say baby daddy, you know, being quarantined, but it's like, no, this is really serious. Yes. You know, as time has gone on, it's unfortunately gotten more drastic with, you know, the red tape. So
yeah. It's so true. You know, you mentioned that honesty, you know, being honest with them. Because, I mean, when people say what good can come out of this, right? Yes, there's family bonding time and, you know, the time with the, you know, with our co-parents, you know, but the other side is it is a time to build resiliency in our children, for them to know, like, it is hard. It is difficult. You know, I understand why you're crying. I understand why you're frustrated that you can't have your prom or your graduation or this event that, you know, your sports things that you were looking forward to, or my daughters were looking forward to their dance recitals. You know, it is hard. It's not fair, you know, and so to be able to have those kind of conversations and walk them through disappointment, you know, and then teach them our own coping mechanisms. You know, I'll say, you know, what do you think, you know, do you want to, maybe we should go play something, or, you know, let's do something that we enjoy for a little bit. What's something that you'll enjoy? Let's, you know, let's, you know, teach them to take those breaks. You know, I think that that's another positive that's going to come out of this, because they what better way, right, to build resiliency, right, than to you know, to walk them through this particular, you know, global pandemic. And when they come out on the other side, they're like, oh yeah, okay, I've been through a hard time and I have some tools in my toolkit now, you know, for that.
What is just one piece of advice that you have for parents? You've given a lot, but if you could just drop one thing in everybody's bucket, what would that be during this time?
You know, I would say get help. You know, I would just say get help. You know, I think that super moms tend to put on these capes and think that we have to do it all, you know, and that if the things aren't done the way that we'd like them to be done, you know, it creates levels of disappointment, you know, and I just think that we need to get help. And that help may simply be, my child is going to fold their own clothes, and it may not look the way that I want them, but I can't fold the clothes and work and nurse a baby and, you know, cook dinner and educate you and keep track of your teacher's stuff. You know, I can't do that. So I think that seeking help, taking help when it's offered is what I would offer, you know, to the super moms out there, because our own self care is, you know, just of utmost, you know, importance. And I think that when we get into these situations, we hunker in and we're like, I can do this. I'm going to do this, do that, do this. And I think that, you know, we should utilize the help that's around us, including those virtual classes, including the, you know, the teachers and the resources that they sent, including the sibling, including your friends, you know, just don't try to take it on all yourself, because we have to come out of this on the other side, just realizing, you know, with a joyful spirit versus us, you know, having been stressed and, you know, worry, you know, I think that we can come through on the other side. Like, I'm so grateful, you know, that I had this time, you know, I'm so grateful I was able to, you know, talk to my kids about, you know, or, you know, instill in them new responsibilities. You know, I'm grateful that I was able to share the burden, you know, because otherwise we'll end up on the other side and it'll just be the opposite of that, you know, just really stressful, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to me today, Delise.
Of course, since we're all in this together, right? Traditional homeschoolers, new homeschoolers and new folks schooling from home, we're all in this together. And I think that, you know, that's what this is teaching us, you know, that we're all, you know, that we're in this situation, even though we're coming from it from different angles, as you mentioned, we're really all in this together. So you doing Mommy Hour, you know, it's just a great opportunity, you know, for people to utilize, whether you're homeschooling or not, you are not traditional homeschooling, you know, that all of us need these particular resources. So I appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. And share where we can find all your platforms.
Sure. So Surviving Homeschool is started off as a Facebook group. It is at the Surviving Homeschool on Facebook, but you can also find us at Surviving Homeschool on Instagram and on Twitter. And we are also launching our website, www.survivinghomeschool.com. And so it's been very, very, very fun. And we're so appreciative of everyone that's been supportive, you know, of the platform so far. And, you know, look forward to helping some more families, you know, to survive, you know, during this pandemic.
There wasn't a better time for you to do this. I wanted you to do this years ago, but there wasn't a better time for you to do this. It wasn't. There couldn't have been a better time. And we are so grateful to you. So Thank you so much, Delise.
Of
Love
course.
you.
Love you too, love.
I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Mommy Hour. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment and share our stories because it's important for everybody to feel connected and feel as one. Thank you.